All right. So here's the thing, Melissa. I didn't name this podcast yet.
Okay. It'll name itself.
It'll name itself.
Yeah, it'll name itself.
Oh, I'm excited about this interview already. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this podcast that doesn't have a name just yet. I have a good friend that I've been able to really watch grow. Okay, and this isn't going to be an interview like me asking you questions. We're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah,
okay?
we're gonna talk that talk like we always do.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So, one, just introduce yourself real quick before we get into it, because I got a bunch of questions.
Oh Lord, all the pressure. So my name is Melissa Mitchell. I am originally from Miami. I've been in Atlanta for about 12 years now, and I like to say I'm an artist by mistake. One day during a snowstorm, as everybody loves my story, 2014, home board, Valentine's Day comes and goes. I'm like, Lord, I can't do this another year. I said, I need some purpose. I need to have a good time. I need to give this life a new meaning. And I literally heard God say, paint. I was like, paint, make earrings? Should I paint the house? Should I change my room around? God is like, no, you need to paint. I'm like, okay, I'll paint. Had some old wood in the garage, had some paint from when I was making gifts for my sister. And I just started doodling on a piece of wood. And I was like, man, it'd be dope if I added some black to it. So I found some old school magic markers and started filling in the black lines. And so I put on Instagram, yo, guess who's a painter, LOL. Somebody DMs me, is like, I'll give you $50 for that. I was like, for this?
Sheesh.
This took me 30 minutes. That time's about 10. I could pay my car note, my light bill. I said, let me do this for real. And so woke up once the ice melted, went and got a whole bunch of supplies. And I was like, I think I might be an artist.
See, weren't you glad you wasn't booed up during the snowstorm?
I think that was a deliberate, I tell God all the time that don't despise your cave moments. That was my cave moment. And I was able to bring to life something that I didn't even know was inside of me. So super grateful that date didn't work out.
Oh, okay. It was set up, but okay. It was
yeah. It did. I mean, it was just, you have that feeling when something is not for you or for you. I always tell people to go with it. Even if I'm wrong, I'll deal with the repercussions later. But I'm so glad I was like, nah, I don't really want to go on another date. And I just stayed home and stayed at that moment. And I'm big on sitting in my emotions. And so I allowed those emotions to funnel through me. And then I was able to bring to life something that I didn't even know I had.
And what year was that?
2014.
2014. What month?
February.
February 2014. Goodness gracious. So 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, 3.5. 4.5. Yes, 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, so I started painting 4 years ago. Did my first mural in 2015, and I created my first wearable piece of artwork in 2016. So it's been a monumental year every year since I picked up the brush. Just a little bit more faith has been garnered with each step. And so even last year, haven't even had these out for a year. I've sold almost 1,000 worldwide.
Wow.
Can I keep them in stock?
Wow.
I'm almost scared to tell God what I want to do because God's like, oh, you want me to do something else? Boom. I was like, oh Lord, I need to make a decision. And so when you have one idea, it's so important to follow that because so many doors have opened just from following my passion for one thing. One thing opened up more than 11 doors. And so I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to follow that because even the closed doors led me to this door. So saying no to him or saying no to that, to this job, to that trip, still led me back to this purpose. So everything was leading up to 2014.
So idea, you in the crib, you're painting.
Yeah.
Like just letting your emotions flow.
Yeah.
What was you listening to?
Robert Glasper.
Robert Glasper.
Okay. Just got hip to him. It was a combination of Robert Glasper and foreign exchange. I used to be a pianist growing up, and so I'm really big on making my own lyrics and music. And so when I just kind of listen to melodies, I kind of imagine what the musicians were thinking. And so because my level of creativity is that way, that translates into my work. So a lot of my pieces have pianos or music keys hidden inside of them.
Wine or no wine?
No, I don't drink at all.
No wine. Okay, good.
Spring water.
So it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking before, how you weren't like formally trained. You didn't go to school for art. It's not something that you've been working on since you was a kid.
No.
What separates you from someone who's like really pushing this dream and they just can't seem to get ahead?
Well, I think for me, I'm pushing my purpose. And however that looks, that's how it comes. And I always told God that if I would not take the pulpit like my family did, I come from a family of pastors, that I would need something else. And so one day I said I woke up and I traded my pulpit for a paintbrush. And so for me, painting is just an avenue to talk about purpose, to talk about manifestation. So if it wasn't gonna be painting, it'd be fixing cars. It'd be being a dentist. It just so happens to be my avenue that ended up being colorful and very expressive. But I really don't think I focus on painting. I focus on being able to talk to people and sharing my story and telling them that they can make it too. And so people want to buy your story. It just so happens to be on a canvas.
Right.
So whether I'm selling cars or running marathons or teaching children, I think my purpose is more so teaching and giving information than it is artwork.
Gotcha. So, all right. So I gotta go year by year. 2014.
Okay.
You paint, post a picture. Somebody says, "Let me buy that." You sell it. You make the money.
Yes.
What happened next?
I start doing art shows around the city.
Hold on. No. You can't jump that fast.
I did.
What do you mean?
I
Somebody
did.
buys one piece and now you're doing art shows.
So did that. I'm telling you, the power of social media, people underestimate it. You have people that are not following you that are watching everything that you do. Met the owners of Funk Jazz Fest. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's at Tabernacle. Met them. They're like, "We love what you do. We have one spot left." I was like, "Okay,
Hold on.
I'll
Did
take
you
it."
post more paintings after that?
Well, I'm chronicling everything I'm doing. Like,
Right.
oh, this is what I'm doing Tuesday night. Just finished running, going home to paint. Just left work, going. So I'm doing all of this. So my footage on my page, at this point I had like 200 followers on my art page. Now I'm at about 13,000. Just
And I
every
saw
day.
that. I saw that
Like, I
happen.
literally went from 200 followers. And organic, never asked anybody to post me. This is just every day. So 2014, hey, love what you're doing, love your work, it's very expressive. So people saw something in me. I'm thinking, this is a stress reliever. This is just something I'm gonna do to pass time, make some extra money. He loved my work. I ended up getting the premium spot at the art festival under the light. I mean, I can show you photos. It literally looked like a light was coming from the ceiling.
Wow.
It's just the way that the venue was set up. From that moment, met one of my great art friends, Fabian, occasional superstar. Meet him. He's like, "Yo, you got something. What's your name?" I'm like, "Melissa." So he's like, "We're gonna be friends." I was like, "Okay, we're friends." And so he invites me to stuff. I come out. So I'm really just working the art scene because at this point I'm like, oh, I guess I'm an artist. I need to do art stuff. And so following the art movement and just really networking and not being afraid to tell your story. Hey, I'm not really an artist, but I want to learn.
Right.
And so I'm just soaking up all the knowledge, never really saying I need help painting. I'm just saying I just want to watch people. So I'm watching, reading, and every night I'm looking at artwork before I go to sleep. And that's important that you control your narrative when you first wake up and when you go to bed. So I'm looking at art, I'm listening to art, I'm watching art, I'm going to art shows. I'm saturating myself with all things art. And so eventually, 2015, I don't know if you guys heard of M-Bar. One of my girlfriends was like, hey, they're looking for somebody to do a mural. I know you never done one, but go tell them that you did. I was like, hey, I've never done a space this size, but I think I can do this. So I bring like 20 pieces of artwork, lay them all over the floor. And I'm like, hey, can I do a mural here? He was like, I don't know if we can trust you, but I think I'm gonna just take a leap of faith.
Right.
They locked me in this place. I'm like, Lord, what am I about to do? I put on my Robert Glasper playlist. First I had a sketch. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let God do it. So God gave me this idea of doing like a kaleidoscope with a piano going through it. I freestyle a kaleidoscope all over the bathroom, lock myself in there, start just picking colors up, paint the bathroom. They're like, how did you get this idea? I said, honestly, I have no idea, but please love it. At first they were like, this is gonna be crazy. I said, y'all give me one more day.
Right.
So I added my black lines, added all the detail. They were like, this is phenomenal. And since then, it has been the #1 selfie bathroom at the location.
Wow.
So again, having blind faith in myself and in my talent allowed me to create something that I didn't even know was inside of me.
Wow. So
So
that's 2015.
2015 was all about murals.
Let's talk 2016.
2016, so I'm natural, have a big fro. I'm like, man, I need to figure out how to cover up my hair when I go to these shows. I'm wearing like fabric from all over the place. I said, I need to wear my own artwork. I'm not giving nobody else no pubbing and telling, oh, I bought this wrap from this person. I said, I want to wear my art. And so I'm up late at night, as I always am. I get a DM from this couple. I'm like, look, I'm not into that weird stuff. Don't DM me. Like, this is weird. He's like, no, we just moved from Tennessee. We're a husband and wife team. We're printers. And we think that your artwork would be perfect for what we're trying to do. I was like, oh, really? I said, well, I'm going to send you a proof. I'll put Melissa Mitchell all over the artwork. I sent it to them in PDF file. They said, well, meet us after work. And so I come there, my badge from work. I literally have on my long skirt, being real worky. They create my first pair of socks. I'm like tearing up. I said, this is what I saw in my dream. They said, well, you said something about head wraps. Let's start looking for fabric. So for the next 4 months, we're vetting head wrap fabrics that are good for your hair, they're good for your skin. And so my first debut collection, 100 head wraps, sold out in 30 minutes. I drove to my college homecoming, Florida A&M University, sold them out of my purse.
Wow.
People were meeting me on the side of the road, like, where are you with these head wraps? So I look into the audience at homecoming, I see all my head wraps all over the campus. I call them and say, y'all, we need to make about 500 more of these. And so we get everything on the website, they sell out in minutes, and my wearable art begins to take off. Now my guys are like, bruh, what about us? So I debut the head wraps, debut the socks, debut the bow ties, debut the pocket squares. And so by the end of 2016, I'm sold out everything.
Wow.
People were buying Christmas gifts, people buying shirts, like everything you can think of. I was like, if I just put something out there, people are gonna buy it. And a lot of times we think about, oh, well, Dave's not gonna pay $20 for a pair of socks. It's not Dave who we're concerned about buying things. And I think for me, I was always thinking outside of my network, and I think that's what made me more powerful. Because a lot of people think, oh, my friends aren't gonna pay $100 for a piece of artwork. I'm not worried about Dave. I just need Dave to post it.
Right.
I need Dave to be hanging out with me with the artwork in the background.
Right.
Most of my business comes from friends of friends of friends, because they say, oh, if Dave's hanging out with Melissa, she's got to be cool. So she's now co-signed. And so my network began to grow just from friends wearing stuff, me wearing it everywhere I go, having conversations, somebody hearing about it, me talking about it, and that's how my business was able to grow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, so 2015, you debuted the head wraps.
16.
So last year, 2017.
2017 was amazing. So at the end of 2016, I started to DM all my favorite celebrities, stylists. I said, I don't care if they tell me no, I'm gonna DM them. So late one night, 2016, it had to be like October, November, I DM Lupita Nyong'o's stylist. I say, hey, I know she wears head wraps, I know you probably get DMs, but she needs mine. So I wake up, because this is London time, I wake up like 3 a.m. Hi, how are you? We love your work. I said, wait, Lupita loves my stuff? He's like, yeah, she would love your stuff.
Wow.
So I ship things to London, send her a whole care package, send it over to her. She loves it. She's in love with all the things that I do. Okay, cool. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. I planted that seed November, October. So fast forward to 2017, around June, July. No, this happened in February. Somebody DMs me, Melissa, you need to look on Lupita's page. She's twirling in the head wrap that I sent her.
Wow.
I love this piece of wearable art. She's twirling and having a good time. I said, y'all, that's my head wrap. So she posts that. People start seeing it's her. I repost it. I sell it to all of my inventory in 30 minutes. The power of people wanting what somebody else has. So that sells out. I was like, y'all, she's twirling in it. Maybe I should make like a jacket or some sort of wearable, like a long cape to make me feel like
this.
Yeah. So this is what I came to. So when I was in school, I was always very bright and out of control. And so my dad said, you're going to be like Joseph in the Bible. Joseph had the coat of many colors. And so Joseph, a lot of people didn't understand his powers of his dreams and all his different things, but he had this coat from his father. He wasn't the oldest, he wasn't the youngest, he was the favorite by the father. And so my dad said, one day you'll know why that story is so significant to you. I'm like, okay, coat of many colors. Anyway, I'm going out. I'm like, whatever. So when I came up with this idea, I said, wow, if everybody can understand the power of colors and being royal, like Joseph with the coat of many colors, this would be dope. So again, I'm going through materials, I'm going through all these different things, and so I came up with something called a kimono. So kimono for me, people say call it a duster. I was like, duster feels like it's gonna be on the ground. Kimono is a royal garb that some of our Asian brothers and sisters wear. And so I said, man, it'd be dope if I wore something. And so again, went through a little bit of trial and error, debuted these in, I wanna say it was in August of last year. And people went crazy over it. People were like, I have to have one. And so even to this day, I have waiting lists about 50 or 60 people long. They want to just send me cash. They just cash app me money. I said, y'all, do not send me money. They're not in production yet. So once I did that, again, Lupita fell in love with it, looked online in June or July of last year. She's in Vogue magazine talking about her favorite things. My head wrap is laying strategically on the table, and she's wearing it in a photo as a skirt.
How do you get all this stuff to happen? Because it seems like, you started...
It
started like the momentum.
I can't take credit for it. I really think it's because I believe so strongly in the destination. I don't worry about how it's going to happen. Yeah. And so it's like, I know I'm going to get over here because the GPS told me so, but if I made a left or right, I'm still going to get to that destination. So I literally lead with blind faith. I really believe in my gift, and I don't take no's it doesn't make me feel bad. And I think that a lot of people think that if a closed door happens, that's it. Like, that's it for my talent. Now, she's not the only person I DM. I DM about 30 people. Right? But she was the one person that actually said yes. So I think that you got to cast your net wide enough to let one fish come back. Because we're going to eat either way. And I think people cast that 30 out, and if all 30 don't come back, they're like, oh, well, you know, my life sucks. But it doesn't. Like, you still have the opportunity. My gift is out there. And so she comes up, she falls in love with it. And now people are like, well, what does Lupita have on? And so now I have celebrities saying, what is that? I was like, that's the thing I mailed you 2 years ago. Remember that? So now I have people saying, I've seen you somewhere. I was like, yeah, I mailed you that package. And so now I have people coming back around like, wow, you've been on the grind for 2 years, for 3 years. And now people are understanding the gift. And so 2017 was crazy. I drive to Essence Festival, pack up. I made 30 special pieces. I have all these fresh inventory. I sell one head wrap and no art.
Really?
We have a blowout on the road. Ants get in my car. I'm having like the most terrible time ever. But me and my mom in the car said, Mom, you know, God showed me that I would be in Essence magazine. God showed me that I would be selling stuff at Essence Festival. I said, well, I'm not coming back until I'm a guest of a brand. I'm like going off. She said, well, honey, if that's what God told you, you believe it. So I'm in my feelings. You know, I'm going through the motions. I'm still like, well, God showed me this. I'm going to hold on to that. Depressed, upset, sad, but the whole time still painting. Still putting out products. So I get a DM, August of 2017. Hey, Melissa, there is somebody looking for an artist in Atlanta. I was like, okay, they're looking for art, some of my info. Then I get another DM. Hey, Melissa, I work with a team for Essence Magazine. They're doing an art show in Atlanta. They're looking for an artist to feature for My City 4 Ways. I said, okay, is this like a joke? He was like, no, you'll be on a call on Monday. So I just give him my number. I said, just call me, send me an email. Hi, this is so-and-so with Essence Magazine. I'm over marketing. She's over so-and-so. I said, I'm on the phone with y'all. Like, I'm on the phone with y'all? Y'all are calling me? Now, mind you, a month earlier, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I sold nothing at Essence Festival. All these things happen. Hey, we've been watching you for a year. Come to find out, one of the editors has been following me.
Wow.
I gave her my card at an event the year previously, never knowing she was actually going to follow me. Didn't even know her name. She had been following my journey. 2 or 3 others have been following, but because you don't really know who these people are, you just, oh, got a follower, cool. At this point, I'm like at 2,000 followers, so I don't know who these people are. They fall in love with my work. They're like, hey, we're going to pay you to paint live at the event. You're going to have a commercial for Ford. You're going to have a driver for the day. You're going to be able to showcase your stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. And then they said, oh, you're also going to have a page in Essence Magazine.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting there like, my mom was like, if you would have given up when we left New Orleans last year, you would not have come to this moment. And so I just sat in that. I was like, if people knew what tomorrow would hold, they would get over today. And so in that moment, I was like, I'm doing something right. Everything makes sense up until this moment. So have the show. I'm a standout. I'm on stage. I have somebody make me a gown out of one of my favorite paintings. I meet June Ambrose. All these things are on my dream board. All these things are written in my book. And so I have a box called my manifestation box. So I'll sit at work and just write out what God is telling me, fold it up, put it in the box when I get home. And so every day of the year, I just go home and just pull something out and say, wow, this happened. Wow, God did this. So I literally remind myself. And so the magazine, I didn't know it was going to come out. So I get a DM from one of my friends. She's like, girl, you know you're in Essence. I said, no, it's supposed to come out in January. She's like, no, it's in there now.
Right.
I open up to page 65, and everybody knows 11 is my favorite number. 6 + 5 = 11. So I'm in the middle of Kroger like, bruh. Me and my sister like, bruh. Like, we're like boohoo crying. They're like, ma'am, is everything okay? I was like, y'all, I'm in Essence. Like, I'm in Essence. And so the year ended with me following up from being in Vogue, being in Huffington Post, and ending the year with Essence. And so that was such a full circle moment because January started with barely selling art, having a couple of head wraps here and there, but still kind of like, this really is cool, but it's not like where I want to be. And so leading up even to this very moment right now, coming back from Essence Festival, I just told you earlier, I told my mom last year I was not going to Essence unless somebody's paying for this. I had to back all the way up. So Spanx.
Oh yeah, you skipped over Spanx.
2018 has been, what is this, July 15th? We're only 6-7 months in, and I'm like, it feels like it's already 2020. So much has happened this year. Literally, I can't even imagine. So we'll come back to the Essence story. Let's talk about Spanx.
Let's talk about Spanx.
Let's talk about Spanx. So Spanx put out this contest to have your own bra, have your art on a bra, illuminate her. I was like, oh, that's cute. I mean, I don't need to be on a bra. I do head wraps, whatever. My sister's like, you need to apply for that. I'm like, okay, I'll apply. So I'm a procrastinator. As driven as I am, I'm like, I'll do it later. I won't do it. Every week, somebody's like, did you see the thing from Spanx? I was like, yeah, I saw it. Okay. I'm like, why is everybody worrying about what I'm doing? I got this. I know what I want to do. I get another email. And so I email it to myself. This is like, at this point, it's February 26th is when it comes out. March 7th, somebody else emails me. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I forget to apply. So March 26th, this is a month afterwards, I go and do a photo shoot for this big time artist. And he's like, what do you have on your plate? I was like, well, I want to really expand my brand. I want a global brand to like really be my co-signer. He's like, well, what do you have? I said, well, this Spanx contest came out. I said, I haven't even applied. It probably already passed. He said, I don't care what you're doing. He said, even if you don't win, they need to see your work. I was like, you're right. I get home, I said, dog, today is the last day, so I'm scrambling. I was like, so I find artwork that's in my house. I find one that's on my kitchen wall, because I have over 60 pieces in my house. I find a painting that's on my wall in my kitchen, one in my living room, and one in my bedroom. I was like, these cute, they'll like them, whatever. Throw the application together, and my computer crashes. I said, okay, God, but you told me to apply, so what's the problem? Log back on, cool, I'm gonna try it again. Error message. I said, okay, I don't know if it's God doesn't want me to do it. So I emailed my sister. I said, you need to get on the computer. She said, I'm actually on the computer right now. I said, so I'm going to email you my whole application, see if you can get it on there too. She's like, yeah, I emailed it. It went through. I said, no, there's no confirmation email. She's like, girl, it went through. I'm about to call my man. I'll talk to you later. I was like, God, I don't have time for this. Like, cause I'm like super anxious. Right. God was like, you need to release it. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna release it. So I'm thinking the whole time I didn't get it. I didn't get selected. They never got my application. I'm like, cool. So this was, God, it was like March 30th. Can't remember the date. So anyway, so we moved fast forward about a month. I get a DM. You gotta love your DMs. You gotta monitor them. I get a DM from a lady named Karen. I was like, hey, Melissa. No, she did. Hey, do you know I can get in contact with Melissa Mitchell? I said, yeah, I run the page. Because, ABO Creations is under it. So they're thinking it's being ran by somebody else. Right. I was like, sure, I'm Melissa Mitchell. She's like, what's the best email to reach you at? I sent her my email. Congratulations, you've been selected as the final 3 candidate for the Illuminate Her contest, global contest. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Who? Yeah, you've been selected. I'm like, I said, I called myself, I said, bro, I think I like kind of won this. I think it was like final. She's like, I told you, you my sister, you the best. And I was like, I'm blown away. So it's me, an artist from Paris, and another dope artist that's here in Atlanta. I was like, how did they choose me? I was like, Spanx doesn't even like bright colors. What do you mean? I get down to the final 3. So I'm very big on faith. So me and one of my best friends, we decided we're gonna film our own Spanx commercial. I said, whether we win or not, we're gonna film the winning commercial. So we go film a commercial all outside. We do a whole campaign, vote for me, I do a whole photo shoot of my bras, because I'm leaving the next week for my birthday. I'm like, I'm going to Cancun. I'm not worrying about this. If I win, I win. I'm going to release it. We do a whole campaign. I say, hey, vote for me. All of my voters crashed the site.
Wow.
In retrospect, when I talked to them, they said, we don't know what you did, but these people were so supportive of you. Our system crashed more than once.
Wow.
And so talking to them, they're like, you had so much support. It was so crazy. And so the whole time, this is me on the first shot, like, I hope I win. I think it's good enough. I hope it's good. I hope it's not too bright. I hope it's not too this. The whole time they're like, you're dope, you're wonderful. People all over the world are falling in love with your work. And so, I don't know, what day was it, May 30th, I ended up getting the winning call. I'm at my 9 to 5, right? I got on my casual clothes, I'm at work. So they're like, hey Melissa, before we post it online, just letting you know the good news, you've been selected to have your bras all over the world. From Japan to Miami, Florida, all over the world, in airports, in stores, in Saks, in Neiman's. And I just sat outside. I was like, I almost didn't apply. I almost never picked up a paintbrush. Like, everything from 2014 led up to 2018. And it was so overwhelming. Like, of course I cried, but I was just like, what would happen if I was more fearless? Like, what have I missed out on because I wasn't confident enough? And I believe that's why God allowed me to win that contest, because there are so many people sitting on incredible ideas, but they think it can't happen to me. Right. Or this won't come to life. And so,
what advice would you give that person?
Be fearless. I mean, you've heard no before. It's not a foreign language to you. If you hear no, that's okay. No's are okay for me. Like, I almost look forward to no. I was like, oh, but the yes I'm about to get.
Right.
And so I think everything led up to all the no's led up to that one yes. All those no's were worth it because that yes I had was so much bigger than what I could ever imagine.
Wow.
It was worth it. And so every failed relationship, every time I got let go, even my father passing away, my grandmother passing away, all the tears that I had built up, it literally led me to become that kind of artist because I'm such an emotional artist. All my stuff has emotion in it. So had I been a happy-go-lucky girl with everything being perfect, why would I need to paint? I'm in love. I'm happy. I have kids. I have a husband. I have all this. But because I was in such a dark place, God allowed my artwork to be a light. And so now my light will be all over the world, even more.
So let me, before we move up to 2018, because your year is just phenomenal, right?
It's like makes me speechless.
So you talked about being fearless, but for the people that are fearless, you're telling them you don't need to be fearless. But what type of advice would you give them if they don't know how to not be fearful, or you know what I'm saying? Like what do we need to do to get over that fear? Because it's easier said than done, obviously,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. I think for me, from the artist perspective, I never stopped creating. I never stopped painting. The painting that ended up being selected, I painted in 2015. And I never sold it, nobody ever bought it. It was literally being passed over at art shows. But I never stopped believing in myself. And so, backstory about who I am, I listen to audiobooks every single day. I listen to messages every single day. I write to myself every single day. And so there's a lot of back work that has to be done. You can't just wake up and be like, I'm fearless. I'm going to be the best so-and-so in the world.
Right.
I have my moments of low self-esteem. I have my moments of self-doubt. I have my moments of, I'm tired of all of this. I just want to win the lottery and forget everything.
Even now.
Today, I wrote by looking at the lottery. I was like, so I just can't be a lottery winner? I mean, is it only people that live in trailer homes in the corner? And so God is like, you did win the lottery. Your lottery is right here. You're just gonna have to take a little bit more to get that fortune out of you. And so I think for the average person, the journey is like, there's no cookie cutter way for me to say, you need to do this, you need to do that. I think doing the spiritual internal work is where the secrets are. I find all of my ideas in my darkest moments. I know my father passed away, last person to talk to him, completely traumatized by that. I still feel him with me. And so instead of being sad about it, I was like, all right, Dad, what we manifesting today? So I talked to my angels. Harnessing that darkness, harnessing your low moments is where you really become stronger. I think a lot of people allow their dark moments to conquer them and not realizing that your mind is so much more powerful than anything you can ever experience. And so the cookie cutter way for me is to read every day, to write every day, to listen every day. You have to envelop yourself with things that are positive. I mean, literally all throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like, there's no moment that you could be like hanging, like even when I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm like, let me read an affirmation. Like, even my phone says, I am a master manifester, my words are life. Love is mine, money comes to me in miraculous ways, favor, increase, overflow, designer to the elite, supernatural acceleration, debt-free, major global exposure. And I read this every time I touch my phone.
Wow.
So even when I'm not motivating everybody else, I'm constantly motivating myself. And I think a lot of people are so busy trying to give out all of this stuff and they're not feeding their internal man. And so that's really what my secret is. I can't even say, oh, I have no agent. I have no formal training. I have no formal publicist. I made my sister become my publicist. I made my mom become my CEO, and my sister's my production manager. And so as I elevate, I bring my whole team up with me, but you have to believe in self. I think that's the secret ingredient. Constantly study everybody that's excelled, even not in your field. Like Oprah is a journalist, but she's a master manifester. Sarah Blakely is in design, but she's a master manifester. You look at Damon John, he does different things, but it's all about the internal work. And all of them had a breaking point when they decided that they wanted to be greater. Yeah. It wasn't because, oh, Oprah this, like even she talks about the color purple. She's like, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to do this. They called her from the fat farm and said, don't you lose a pound, we want you just the way you are.
Right.
And so even me, Melissa, I was like, well, is my stuff too bright? She said, no, we want hot pink straps. I said, on a bra? She said, oh no, we about to turn this whole game out. So I'm thinking, oh, Melissa's too bright for Spanx. They're like, no, you're exactly what we've been looking for. And so being confident in who you are, whose you are, and what you can do really sets you aside. And I think that's, once I decided, they're going to have to take me this hot pink or not. Right. And if you don't want this hot pink, then I'm about to move on. And so once I decided that, the world was mine.
Let me ask you a question. Say, for instance, you were in a Sprinter van from Atlanta to New York. You got 12, 13 hours.
Yeah.
With Sarah Blakely
Oh my God.
and Oprah Winfrey.
After I finished being off the breathing machine from fainting. Yeah.
What are the conversations? What are the questions? Like, you get around a circle like that.
Because that's going to happen soon. No,
sure.
I have a meeting. No, I have a meeting with Sarah, so that's happening like in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I just don't know if they're gonna do a road trip.
Well, I don't know. Listen,
maybe you never know.
But
that.
no, I'm trying to convince them to do a tour. So, but I'm not gonna put any limits on what God can do.
Sarah Blakely's amazing.
Her
I
energy.
seen her speak one time.
Her energy. But Sarah knew she was something more. But she also talks about losing 11 people in her life leading up to that. So.
And that's your number.
And Oprah talked about, she talked about being raped, she talked about her miscarriage, or talked about her abortion. Like, they talked about their darkness. So I want to know, at what point did they realize that their darkness was their superpower? At what point? Money is cool. I mean, I'm making a lot of it. Not saying I'm not happy about the money, but once you realize who you are, I think that's the whole thing. So, like, what do you say when you look in the mirror, Oprah? Sarah, who do you see looking back at you? What is your greatest loss, and how has that propelled you to where you are? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? And I think once you learn about a person fundamentally, you can say, oh, that's why she's able to succeed. Looking at death as a way of life. I was literally the last person to talk to my dad, but he always talked about you have to maximize every single day. He died with the Bible open and writing notes. And so you look at people that you love the most and seeing how they live their lives and saying, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for all of us that didn't make it, And so for me, I'm dream chasing for my ancestors. I talked to my therapist. She said, I'm feeling so many people behind you. I said, you looking at people that left their mantle for me to pick up. So I'm carrying a coat that's so heavy, people can't even feel it. I can't even sleep at night thinking about what I need to do for tomorrow. Wow. And so, Oprah, who do you think you're doing this for? What would you tell your younger self? At one point, did your self-esteem take a turn? Because as great as all these women are, we still feel unloved, we still feel unwanted, we still have problems with sleep. I know Sarah talks about no matter what's going on, she always takes a bubble bath. She don't care if she's in London, got a big meeting, the kids are killing each other outside the door. I'm taking a bubble bath. How do you maintain self when you're going so high? Because I'm learning that now. My body is telling me you need to sit down. So how do you take that moment for yourself and not feel selfish?
And it's so interesting because your questions are more internal. Because most people say, well, how do you get on TV?
I don't want to know that.
How do you market yourself? How do you brand? And it's just so interesting that you're asking more of the internal questions.
Because that's a secret weapon. Who Oprah is as opposed to who somebody else is because she's Oprah. Yeah. Not because what Oprah has done, it's because who Oprah is. And that's why Melissa, as an artist, has been able to do so much more than people who have been trained to do this, because people are like, well, who are you? And so when you look at a canvas, you're like, that's cool, but what made you choose red? And I said, well, that's because it's me this. And so they want to know your story. And so it's bigger than, well, how'd you make $1,000? I could put a price on something and somebody would still pay it. Whether it's $100 or $10,000, they want to know who you are, and so that's why people are so fascinated with Basquiat, because his stuff is so cryptic. Like, man, what was his mind doing? Yeah. People want to own a piece of that mind, and so even in his death, people are still trying to figure him out. Yeah. And so when you become a billionaire, a self-made billionaire, 2 billionairesses, right, self-made, come from nothing. You got one from Clearwater, Florida, and one from the backwoods in Tennessee. How do you get past that? I think when I was little, I always had a mic in my hand. I always had on my pink cowgirl boots, and I always was in front of the mirror. I knew that whatever was going to happen, I was going to be in front of the world. And I never let go of that belief. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew it would. What don't you know that you don't know? Like, what is it like, I just don't know. I don't know this. I don't know. Like, I think about all the time, because I'm unmarried, no children. I always wonder what gifts I'm going to give off to my offspring. Like, I don't know that. Of course, I want my children to be creative. I want to leave my gift to somebody. If something happened to me, I want a husband that would carry it on, but I don't know. Yeah. And I try to not operate in the unknown, because that's what takes me off the current known. And so I have to trust that the same way I didn't know Ford were calling me to go to Essence Festival, full expenses paid, that's the same God. The same God gave me ideas that will be coming to fruition in 2018 from 2014, the same God. And so I usually just say to myself, it's the same God. I can't worry about it. Because, you get so caught up in like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to find a parking space, or what's going to happen in December? And my mom was like, girl, it'll get here when it get here. And as the scripture talks about, every day has enough worry of itself. You got to stay in July 15th. You got to stay in this moment, because if I start worrying about March, April, May of next year, I'll be so off course for today. I won't be able to really enjoy what I have now. And so you got to talk about it being the same God. He knows it. He knows what's up.
What is your religious belief system?
Oh, I'm definitely Christian.
Okay.
But I'm definitely more spiritual than I was religious. And I think once you experience a lot of no's, you like, this church stuff, it's got to be something outside of this. I'm not getting enough on Sunday and Wednesday and online. And so once I begin to really divulge into ancestral stuff, knowing what a spiritual being we really are, law of manifestation, which is really having blind faith, it's really all the same thing in different languages. And I think once you realize it's all really the same thing, you're like, oh, this God, this Christian, this all the same stuff. But I really do believe that we are creators. Our words, our mind, our thoughts, we create our reality. And it talks about God created the heavens and the earth by speaking it. So if we're creating God's image, we can speak things into existence. And so we serve the same kind of God. If we're created like God, we're little gods. And so that's a whole nother thing. But I mean, we're created like him. We're given the same dunamis power that he has. And so he's placed that in us. And so I think a lot of people think it's sacrilegious to think we're that much like God. But God wants us to know that we hold that same power. And that if God is in us, we are God. So I think once you really harness that belief, you're like, oh, so if God is up there, he put it in me, and I made his image, I'm kind of like God on earth, right? So I can do the same thing God can do. And so I think once I realized that, it's okay to do some research. It's okay to talk to people who don't have your same religious beliefs. You don't allow those fine lines to keep you from other great people. And that we really all are in the search of the same thing, which is a greater sense of self. And that God created these things for us to have, and that we really do possess the power to change our reality.
Wow. So I want to, goodness gracious, there's so many questions that I have for you, but I do want to walk through 2018.
Yes.
And then we got to go into the future. So,
oh, yes.
2018, what's been your journey and what have you learned?
So 2018, I don't know if you've heard of Miss Tina's Wearable Art Gallery, Gala. She has it out in California. I said, man, I'm in this wearable art space. I need to be at this gala. I need to go. So I see the tickets went on sale. I'm like, I'm gonna get a ticket on Friday. It's cool, I'll get one. You know they sold out. Had already bought my plane ticket. Had already got my room. I was like, bro, I cannot be in this city and not be at this gala. So had a relationship with one of the stylists. He loves my work. We're actually real friends now. He styled Beyonce's baby shower, so he's really in that space. I was like, hey, I'm coming to Cali. He's like, cool, call me when you get here. I was like, no, I need to see you. I need to be in there. So uses my stuff for Shea Moisture, had a gorgeous pop-up. I create some little mini gowns. They wear kimonos. I was like, well, you don't have a ticket. He's like, well, Mel, I can't really let you in. I was like, okay, I'm freaking out. This is gonna be a problem. So I'm losing it, but I said, Mom, she said, God brought you all the way to California. He would not make you a fool. So I'm praying. I'm going back and forth. So I laid my dress out. I said, I'm going to the gala. This was on Saturday morning. Mind you, the gala, we have to have a call time at 4 o'clock. This is at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm pacing the floor. My cousin's like, what's going on with you? I was like, y'all, we don't have a ticket. She's like, well, if anything, God will give you a ticket. Cool, we go to the pier, we go have food. I get a call from the stylist, Mel, you can come. You need to get here in like an hour.
Wow.
Already had the dress out.
Laid it out.
Already got the hair wraps out, shoes out. I literally put on my clothes, put on some teal Adidas, run down there and meet them. I get into the gala. So much is happening that I don't even take photos because I'm like in awe. Beyonce walks by, I thought it was God. I'm just like, is that Beyonce? Like it was such an out of body experience that I felt like it was a dream because I saw it in a dream. So I manifested that moment in January, and by February, March, I was sitting in the middle of that dream. My sister gets a call on him there, hey, Forbes wants to interview you. Forbes? I'm sorry. Wow. Forbes? She's like, yeah, Forbes, like the magazine. There's a sector at Forbes called Women at Forbes. So they highlight women that are doing their thing, up and coming, whether you're big or small. They want to do an interview for me. They're so proud of what I'm doing. Do an interview with them, have a guy come to my house Sunday morning, take photos. He leaves his light. He's like, well, we can't really get any good photos. The lighting's bad. So I'm freaking out. I was like, bro, this is for Forbes. You're going to mess up an opportunity. He's like, we'll figure it out. So I'm mad looking out the window. We open all the windows. The picture we use is the picture I looked out the window. I'm like this at the window, like, I'm freaking out. But he said in that moment, it was like a light came on, and that was the light filled up the room. We didn't even have a flash.
Wow.
That's the light they used for Forbes. I mean, the photo they used for Forbes. And so moments like that happen to me all the time, because even as all this great momentum, I'm still inside like, God, what is going on? God is like, bruh, I got you. Like, you just started this by mistake. I was the one that gave this to you. I'm going to keep you. So I always remember that it's the same God that will sustain you. So that happened. So I get the Wearable Art Gala. I get Forbes. Ford is calling me again. I get Spanx. Up until even right now, I'm in the middle of I just did a pitch for Ford Motor Company to win a car for 2 years. So they're going to give me a car, well, when I win, for 2 years to expand my business. Leaving Spanx 2 weeks ago, they said, well, are you ready for, this is like a global brand. I'm like, yeah. She said, well, your photo shoot will be in your head wraps. Do you have enough head wraps to keep up with demand? I was like, I guess. I sell like 100 to 200 a month. She's like, no, you realize this is going to be all over the world. You're going to need to increase production by 1,000%. So if I'm selling 100, I need to be selling 1,000 a month. When Sarah Blakely went on Oprah for 30 seconds, she sold 80,000 pieces of Spanx in 30 seconds. She said, you realize that Oprah effect has rippled over into Spanx too, right? So I conceivably could sell out in 30 seconds. Yeah. Once my bras hit the market, they're going to want to know, well, what does she have on her head? What does she have on her back? So now I am vetting production companies all over the world. I would like to stay domestically, but we're going to have to probably do a hybrid of some things over in China as well as here. And so I'm going to have to drive my artwork up the East Coast.
Unbelievable.
So I'm having a conversation with Spanx, never knowing Ford would be calling me to say, hey, you have an opportunity to get a car for 2 years, which is what I would need to expand my business. And so it literally was like God said, I got a need, I have a solution. They're about to meet in the middle. You have no idea. And so I'm sitting on stage like, this is crazy. Come to find out, my mom tells me that I was brought home in a Ford Taurus. My dad was a Ford car dealer.
Wow.
And the word forward itself means going forward. And so it was literally, so as I'm talking to her, she's like, this is a full circle moment for you. I said, I think it is. And so as I'm leaving the stage, I created a whole video montage. And so the last photo on the video was supposed to be something else. But as I leave the stage, it's the photo of my dad behind me. That wasn't even supposed to be the last photo. So as I'm walking up the stage saying bye, the photo behind me is my dad doing this. And so I was just like, it's so eerily orchestrated by God that I have such fearlessness when it comes to what's going to happen next. And so I have to remember that in my moments of doubt, but even as an entrepreneur, you have to keep a list of what God has done, because it's so easy to forget.
I like that.
You have to keep a running list.
I love it.
Because it's almost like I forget how good you were to me. It's like being in a relationship. Like anytime my guy friends are saying they're about to break up, I said, go back to when she was good. List all of that out, and don't call her until you read that. Man, she was good, man. When that one time I broke my leg, or that one time she made me that dinner, or the one time we fell in love, or that one time we walked around Buckhead talking about what we would do when we grow up. Go back to that. If you're still mad after reading those 50 things with God, then you really got to reevaluate.
Right, you have a deeper problem.
And so I do that all the time. I'm like, God brought, and I'm sitting on the stage like, I'm at Essence Festival, all expenses paid, talking about my story. My dad is behind me. My whole family is here. God is like, if I brought you here, 2019, you ain't even ready for that.
Wow.
2020, you can't even imagine. 2021, you can't fathom. And so when we talk about the future, I don't even like to put, like I have a dream board that has a letter written to God, but I also have a blank sheet on my dream board. And it's a blank frame. And I want to leave room to God to do whatever he wants to do with my life.
You can't even see it just yet.
Because I have no idea. But I don't want to be so constricted to, I want this, I want a husband, I want a white picket fence, I want this, I want that. And God is like, okay, but that blank page, that's the Ephesians 3:20. Exceedingly above all you could ever ask or think.
Wow.
Like, I may want a new car, but God is going to give me a brand new free car. I was actually looking for cars the past 2 months. And every time I would go to the car dealership, something would happen where I didn't go. And then Ford comes calling, hey, we got an opportunity, be on the lookout for an email. I'm like, God was like, that's why I want you to go to a car dealership.
Wow.
And my car note is ending in December.
Wow.
So it's like literally everything's like I said, the need, the solution, meeting in the middle.
So I think you kind of brought it around to the way I like to kind of end the videos is like with the prediction.
Yeah.
I want to know where you're going to be 5 years from now. So I want to be able to look at this video and say,
wow.
Yo, Melissa, she said
talked
that.
about
Yo,
it.
I have the footage.
Yeah.
She said
Yeah.
she was going to do it. This was 5 years ago.
Yeah. So, like I told Spanx, even before I won, I'll be the #1 textile designer in the world, most sought after designs. My designs will be recognizable by the likes of children all the way up to presidents. I will have work in some of the major museums around the world. I will be happy. I will have a house full of maybe 2 kids. I'll be loved, I'll be cherished, but most importantly, I'll be revered as somebody who believed God without any restriction. My gifts really have made room for me. Something that started off as a mistake really opened doors for so many others to find their purpose. And I know that my work will speak volumes, not because it's so great, but because my story is great. And my work will be sold in stores. And that, like I said, it's bigger than money for me. It's all about reach. I think people need to know that their gifts are bigger than just creating money or just bigger than creating new national stages. It really is about leaving an undeniable mark on the earth. So if I leave here in five days or 50 years, the world will not forget me. I think people need to really focus on leaving an undeniable mark on the earth, because even I talk about my father so much because I don't want the world to forget it, but I meet people randomly say, "Are you Michael's daughter?" "Oh my God." And so I hear a whole story about him. And so I said, man, I want people to remember me that way. I want my art to really instill a sense of hope, heritage, make people do a little bit more history about themselves, all of those different things. So I think I'm on track to be exactly who God wants me to be. And I think that's the biggest thing. Money will come, but purpose will be here forever. And that's exactly where I'll be, in purpose.
So what are you putting in that 2 weeks? Like, because first off, you can't. Like,
I know.
You really cannot work your job. Like, you can, but like it's
getting difficult.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's getting to be at the point where it's hard to balance. I think when I have to start doing these on-site visits for production, I'm gonna have to just take a leap of faith. And it might just happen on its own. I believe God is gonna be like, all right, this is cute. You got your little benefits. You can figure this out. You don't need to go to the doctor. You're in a healthy place. And I just think it's organic. Damon John worked at Red Lobster up until he was a millionaire. Sarah Blakely was still selling fax machines. Oprah was still trying to do stuff at the studio. So I think I'm creating a story for people who are going to end up like me, they may have faith, but that line, they got an ankle on the line. It's like, okay, God. And so I'm going to let the story write itself. I'm not going to put any restrictions on, I need to do this by December. It better happen by Monday, because God hasn't been that way with me. So why put that restriction on him? So if I do take that leap of faith, I need a $50,000 contract waiting when I leave, just because God knows how I feel about things and how much of an asset I am to my family. And so, because I recently bought a house.
Congratulations.
Bought that. I was living at home, and since my father passed away for the past 8 years, so I'm 35 leaving my parents' house. And so people are like, I can't believe you're living at home. I said, well, that's what my assignment was. The moment I signed my paper in my house, I sold paintings for $1,000 almost twice, 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
So God was like, I just needed you to have the faith to leave where you were. Still able to give my mom a blessing, do stuff for my sisters, pay my mortgage up months in advance. But it would not have happened had I stayed in that safe place of faith. The moment I took that leap, I paid all my furniture off. I had everything in my house. I literally moved into my house and was able to host people at my house in 2 days. The mover set everything up. I had all my paintings already painted. Had everything purchased from my house, down to my comforter, down to toilet paper, down to paper towels. Because by faith, I bought everything before my house closed. So when I walked into my house, everything was done. Bedroom, rugs, down to towels. I woke up one day and said, man, I want some new towels for the house. Target had towels for $1.59.
This stuff just happens all the time.
Well, because I put it out there.
Yeah.
And people say, you're just lucky. I said, no, I just believed that it could happen. I believed. And so I don't unwaver from that. I said, well, if it didn't happen today, it could happen tomorrow. It's still a possibility. I always believe in the possibilities. And so when it comes to marriage, people are like, when are you going to get married? I said,
Remember somebody act right?
Huh?
Remember somebody act right?
And it's not even that. I really believe that when somebody inspires me to be more of who I am, that's who I'm going to marry.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that?
Inspire me to be more of who I am. And it's, it's beyond looks and beyond money. Well, you got to have some money because I can't be married when I'm poor. But I really think that it's somebody that inspires you to want to create. Like, love should be an inspiring thing for you. And so I've had some incredible human beings in my life, like we talked about, but it's all about saying, can I take a moment from canvas to create something with you? And so I think I'm at the place now, of course I want that, but if it takes me too far away from God and my purpose, then I know that it's not for me. But I think it's gonna happen really soon. I have a really strange feeling. It's kind of like that Ford call, that Spanx call, and that Forbes call. It's gonna happen probably sooner than later. But I'm open to the possibilities, and I trust God enough with that, just like I trust him with everything else. And so everything will happen so quickly, it'll be like, last year I wasn't married, like I didn't know you for 100 years, like we just met. It feels like I've known you my whole life. And so I write letters to my husband, I read to him, I talk out loud to him, I buy 2 concert tickets in advance for stuff, just in case he shows up in the next 6 months. I already have a ticket for him.
Wow.
Me and one of my girlfriends have already booked a flight, because I do stuff on 11/11 every year. We've already booked 2 rooms in Egypt to go to the pyramids on 11/11, and we have 2 suites.
That's next level.
So I mean,
That's a whole nother level of faith.
I mean, it's
like,
you know, and it's blind faith, but it's like, if it doesn't work out, we just have a girlfriend's trip. Yeah. But I'm showing God, like, I'm doing my part. I need you to put somebody in this tuxedo next to me, but because I don't believe God has forgotten about that part of my life. And a lot of people are like, well, I can only have this. I can only have that. Like, even with Serena, you know, trying to play, she's like, I missed my daughter's first step, but I was able to have my daughter because she almost died during childbirth. So it's like, you look at the good and the bad, and you still find God. And I think I always find God in everything. Even my dad passing away, I still found God in the room. Grandmother passing away, still found God. Got let go 2 or 3 times, got cheated on, got misled, still found God. And so even in that, I forgot I came out with a book too. Forgot to tell you about that.
You got a book?
Yeah, I wrote a book.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote a book.
You have one on you?
I might have one in the car.
Okay, I want to buy one.
But yeah, so it's still finding God and knowing that those voids is where I'm supposed to be doing something. And I think that's how artwork came into play. So I think with me, once I took a leap of faith in artwork, it made me fearless in every area of my life. So meet a great guy, something don't work out, I'm okay with saying goodbye, because somebody greater is on his way. Yeah. You know, and I think that if people just realize that the same God that brought this great thing in your life, there's 100 more in the world. Yeah. There's 7 billion people on the earth. You worrying about one? Yeah. So I think that's where I am with all of that.
So somebody is out there watching it as we come to a close. We want to know, because I get entrepreneurs on the show and like they're doing some amazing things, but they don't realize that we all need help. Like I have a list of things, I need help with, okay? Yeah. So what are the things that you need help with?